Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the webinar series on methods and skills to motivate students in the classroom, co-organized by CMEL Regional Training Center, CMEL RETRAC in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and Regional English Language Office, U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. So last time we had already worked with materials development, both for classroom, in the classroom, and for online classes. And time flies. Today we go to the last webinar of the series. You see, during the past few weeks, you have been familiar with a kind of a new presentation tools, which is Prezi. Unlike many other presenters, Thomas used a very kind of special tools, which is Prezi, not the PowerPoint. It seems to us that Vietnamese teachers are very familiar with PowerPoint rather than Prezi. Today, in the modern classroom is very different from the classroom many years ago when teachers used basically the chalk and blackboards. Today, we use a lot of presentation tools for our classroom. In our classroom, for example, and PowerPoint's presentation is one of the most popular tools that we use in the classroom. So we need to learn about the skills, the tools to make our presentation more attractive to the students. And this is the focus of the webinars this afternoon. So I hope that you can find something new, especially Prezi. It's not a new tool, but we are not very familiar with this tool, and today we have to learn something about it. And also about the presentation skills. It's very crucial to the success of any English teachers in modern teaching. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Dr. Thomas Webster from Ewha Women University, Korea, for the last webinar of the series. Thomas, you can start your webinar right now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lin, and thank you everyone for coming to, I hope you've all been able to make it to all 4 now webinars that we've had in the series. I'm going to jump right into it. Let me share my screen here. There we go. I hope you all can see my screen. I'm going to put the chat on the side as usual, so you can tell me if you have any problems with anything I'm showing. But yeah, you can see that today for our 4th and final webinar, I'm going to, you can see the main topic is about presentation tools and skills. Now, I've actually adapted my lesson. I originally created materials where I was going to talk about PowerPoint and compare it to Prezi, and I was going to show you a lot about Google Classroom. But I adapted my materials based on what I heard from you guys, the feedback I got from you. And so you can see that after we have an introduction today, I want to kind of go over the engagement, the basic things that we've gone over in the last 3 webinars. I'm going to just remind you and point you to things because I think what we've covered before really, I think when you put it all together, I think you'll see that you should have a pretty good toolbox now for handling the problems that I've heard you guys say and that you've written on the discussion boards. So again, I think going through those, the basics of that again, I think can help you to realize exactly where things are and what you can use to do that. And then next, you can see I have a section I'm going to talk about online tools. That's where I'm going to get into Google Classroom a little bit, and I'm going to really just kind of show you a bunch of little things that I use that are fun. And I'll tell you more about that. Finally, you can see the last section there. I am going to talk about something that has come out in the last few months that is really going to change how we teach. I don't know how long it's going to take, and it depends on your circumstance, how long it takes to get to each country and how much influence it has. But AI is there's a number of companies who've come out with some text and image generators in the last month or two, actually for text, that has changed the game. It's a complete change that we all need to be ready for. And I want to give you a preview, show you a sample, and I want to get you going on and give you the website where you can play with it and see what it can do, because your students will be on it quicker than you. I guarantee it. Okay, so today's goals overall. Oh, just a moment. Today's aims are, number one, that we want to discuss again and review what we've learned and to talk about how it relates to the things that we've done. And I really want to begin, I'm going to begin with a discussion based on what you guys responded to my 5 questions. And then, as I said, I'm going to go to the online tools and AI generators to finish. Okay, so those 2 main things is what we're going to do today. Okay. On the Tech4Teach discussion, you all probably, most of you got on there and looked at least, and many of you posted, and I noticed there were a lot of posts today just before this webinar, so I didn't get to reflect a lot of that because I had to prepare my materials ahead of time. But anyway, I did look through them and I see that it is consistent with many of the things that I planned for today. So that's good. I'm pretty good at predicting at this point. But the questions I asked you were, number one, were how to deal with large classes. Number 2 was how to handle requirements from the government for your teaching. Number 3 was generally what are things that have worked for you? So what can you recommend to other teachers? And I think this one I noticed today, quite a few teachers contributed, and I was really happy to see there are a lot of good ideas on there. And just to let you see real quick, number 3, again, here's the Tech4Teach website. And again, if you look under the discussion activity here under webinar 4, and I think you can see here that we've got a number of ideas here that visual aids and other knowledge and things. There's some really good ideas in this number 3 and in the others that follow. Number 4 here has a lot of there's some good advice here about how to handle your classes. So I'm glad to see we're helping each other, and especially the solutions, not just talking about the problems, but providing solutions as well. So that's really good to see. Okay, so that's question 3. Question 4 again was also specifically how to get unmotivated students more active in the class. And finally, what's an obstacle to your learning personally, your learning of English and your teaching? Because I think some participants responded to your teaching, obstacles to your teaching. So together, all of these, I came up with and I put them for you on 2 boards. I put these Google Jam boards. I really like to use Google Jam because it's free and it's very easy and it's fun to interact with. You can see the main issues I've listed on the top here. And then in the second page, I have the solutions that you all provided. Again, this was, I did this, I think earlier today. I wanted to wait until the last minute to get this Jamboard done. So again, I have both of these for us. So what I'd like us to do, again, here's the Jamboard, and I'm going to give you the link to it in just a moment. But what I'd like for you to do on this Jamboard is you can see this first blue board are the issues that you guys talked about. And the second, if you click on the top up here, again, if you go up here, you can see there are 2 boards. So if you go to the second board, if you click on the second board, the green one, these are the solutions that you provided. So Again, looking at the problems, large classes, entrance exam preparation was an issue that you guys talked about preparing students for the exam. Grammar, generally, reading comprehension was an issue, contact hours, speaking evaluation. Interesting, I didn't know about this aspect here. 5 values that I suppose that I see that you guys have to teach as part of your lessons. This is quite interesting, of course, because it's not really content-based. This is more character development, which I'm actually really happy to see. Love for nation, nationalism, really, responsibility, kindness, modesty, honesty. These are good things, but again, they can be difficult to add to your plate to teach. Varied student interest in terms of what they like to do in the classroom was another issue. And finally, again, in terms of the teacher's obstacles, the lack of confidence in speaking English and teaching in English, just being up in front of a class and with other colleagues, that can be an issue, okay? And what I would like for us to do on this board, when I give you the link, I'd like for you guys to join, and then I'd like for you to click on the sticky note like we do, and you notice that it starts with yellow. Well, what I would like you to do is to type the number 1 on your yellow sticky note and save it, then click off of it, and I want you to downsize it a little bit. Put that number 1 for the problem which of these issues is number 1 for you, your biggest issue. So if it's trying to teach the values, then put your number 1 under the values, okay? And then you can continue on. You can put many of them. You can go to the green and put number 2. Type in number 2, and then again, this will be your second issue, the second most difficult or important issue for you, maybe reading comprehension, okay? And again, you can do that for both boards. So you can click on the top and go to and do that on this second board too, where you're going to start with yellow for number 1, yellow for your number 1 solution. So this is what you think works well. Do you do flipped lessons? Then put number 1 as what you think helps you to solve a lot of the problems in your classroom, okay? So let's go ahead and do this and have fun. And again, please, if you could, please don't hit these 2 buttons up here. Please don't hit the clear frame especially, because that'll clear everyone else's work. And we don't want to do that. And setting the background, if you click that, you're going to change the back and I'll have to put it back in and that'll delay us. So try not to hit the set background, and definitely do not hit the clear frame, please. Okay, so let me get the chat and I think I have the link here for you. Yeah, go ahead and click on that Jamboard link and jump right on there. I'll get rid of my choices here not to influence you. Again, go ahead and jump on there and start putting your issues and your solutions. We'll give a few minutes for you to do this. Be sure to downsize your Post-it notes so that we have enough room. Just click on the Post-it note and then you can grab the corner and make it small. Yeah, there you go. You're getting it. And put that where you think is the appropriate place. Yeah, I'm reading over in the again, I like to use the chat while we're doing this too. So I'm looking at the chat to see if you say anything that I can speak on or talk about. Yeah, somebody's talking, it's in the chat, someone's asking about the materials that I taught before that you can't access. And I'm going to be showing you that in the review. I'll show you that in just a minute. So yeah, I've already planned for that to make sure that we have everything in the same place. So no worries there. And tests interfere with me and what I'm learning. I really like to learn. Yeah, teaching to the test, and also the pressure of having to make sure students are ready for the test. It looks like something happened with the background. Hold on a second, I'll try to fix that. Yeah, I kind of predicted that might happen. Where did I put those? I got to kind of navigate a little bit. I got a lot of windows open. Well, I thought I had it right here. Yeah. Oh, there they are. Okay, now I can fix this. I can fix this. Takes just a second. Well, let's try again. Well, it doesn't want to let me do it. It uploads, but then it doesn't continue. Somebody hit the button. How about the second one? Okay. Well, the second one's okay. Again, please don't change the background because apparently maybe I can't change it back. Let me try just changing the color. See if okay. All right, stop for just a minute because what I'm going to do, this happens. If your students do this to you when you're using Google Jamboard, again, you can go up here to the share button and you can say, wait a minute, you guys have kind of caused trouble. So I'm going to change where you guys can't do anything. I'm going to lock you guys out for a second here. So you can see that you guys can't do anything. So I'm going to go try to set the background now. One more time. Let me try fixing this. It doesn't seem to want to do it. Okay, I'm going to close it out and then restart it. That's the easiest way to do it. Maybe this might help. Let's try just changing the background color. It doesn't want to seem to let me change it. Okay, well, there's another way to do this, is that I can just go to board number 3, and hopefully I can start a new board that doesn't have that issue, and I can put this one on here. There we go. Okay, so we're just looks like we've lost some of the work on the first board. Again, let's try not to, I'll reshare this again real quick. Let's try not to change that, please. Okay, you should be able to work again now. So now I can actually go up here and watch what I can do. See what's happening here. There we go. Yeah, when you have something like that happen, I can go ahead and move the order. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. I can move the issues before, and I could get rid of that one. So many of you put the ones over here on the side, so we lost some info. Yeah. Again, when you're using this in the classroom with students, close that back up there. When you're using this Jamboard in the classroom, you kind of get to know your students, and you know if there's a particular troubled student who likes to cause trouble on there, then again, I recommend that you don't lock that. You can lock that actual person out. You can go click on their icon and you can get rid of them. But I don't recommend doing that when you have somebody who makes mistakes or they like to make mistakes on purpose. It's better just to play with them and use their energy, especially if they want to mess with you, they have energy, then that becomes one of your student leaders. You know, they get kind of rewarded by having some power, but it also puts some pressure on them, which is, both of those are good things because they need to have more challenge. But again, when there's mistakes like this, then you just try to solve it however you can. I wonder now if I come back here and try to reset this one again, I wonder if this one would work. I've never had Jamboard do this to me. So I'm not sure what issues, what issues are happening. Yeah, it doesn't want to let me do this one. Okay, it looks like not many people are doing it now. I think you guys should still be able to put things where you wanted it. I mean, you should be able to move it around. Okay. Again, I'll leave this Jamboards up for you. Come back and do this. I'll be interested. And again, other people, you can get this link too to the Jamboards, and you can send me uh a kind of correspondence, and I'll say, okay, sure, I can share this with you to see how many in our class are having these particular problems, and which solutions do most of the teachers recommend. Like you can see, we already have some good feedback and communication with students, and some digital tech supplements as being important. Yeah. Okay. Well, this didn't quite work out so well because of mixing up the background, but that's okay. That's all right. Let's go back to, again, I'm going to leave those open for you, so you can go and do that later after the class is done. But again, this is a Jamboard is a good thing to do just to get quick little, interactive things going on with your class. I've used it before and I recommend it. I anticipated that, if I zoom out for a second here, I anticipated two things that I wanted to talk about, related to the issues that and the solutions that you guys presented here, online. And what I thought I would want to talk about just briefly is classroom atmosphere. Creating a good classroom atmosphere is so important. And I think that it's easily overlooked by teachers, especially when you're overworked, or when you have so many concerns. It's easy to forget the basic thing. And that one thing, a good atmosphere, can actually it can make all the other things that you do easier or more difficult. And you don't realize it, that's what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to talk about classroom atmosphere, just a few things to be sure to make, to address when you're doing that. And second, I haven't spoken about flipped learning, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information about flipped learning, and talk about how it can help, again, as a few of you mentioned about flipped learning being a good solution for some of the issues that you have. Okay, so let's look at classroom atmosphere real quick. How do you make a good atmosphere? How do you set the tone for your classroom? And again, it's great if you can start it with a new class at the beginning of the year. That's the best time, because then that's when the students, they walk in fresh, and they want to see who you are. They want to know what's going to happen in their class, right? What's going to happen in my class? What kind of teacher is she or he, right? So the first thing that you want to try to, as much as you can, it's not always easy, but you want students to ask more questions than the teachers. Yeah, I see someone wrote in the chat, avoid talking about homework. Yeah, yeah. Students need to really, that's a weakness in language learning that is so recognized but hardly really directly addressed, because you can't directly address it, but you need to indirectly address it. You need to do all the things you can, and we've talked about those. I'm going to review those things you can to let the students realize that they are generating the lesson, they are creating their own private education, so to speak. So teachers talk less as much as you can, anything you can do to help that. And second, as many of us talked about, and we talked about in this series, is learning should be customized to the students. That's so important to make a good atmosphere. If you make a lesson that doesn't fit students, that's the quickest way to get them to be either disruptive or disinterested. Because again, you have to find out about your students in order to do that, right? Variation is something I spoke about last time, especially the last two webinars, is to have a number of different things that you go to for your teaching, rather than doing the same routine. Even if your routine is interactive and engaging, if it's the same one every lesson, exactly the same, students can find some comfort in that, but they will get bored. Even the best students will get bored with it. So it's actually really good to change things up. And again, variation can be your norm, if you know what I mean. If students are used to the fact that you have like 15 different things in your toolbox, and they know that you could pull out any one of them, but they know that that's your style. If you set that atmosphere from the beginning that you are a teacher who likes to try different things from the beginning, then students will be less critical if something doesn't work as well, and they'll be more interested to see what's coming. Assessment, again, I've mentioned this many times, but formative assessment, checking students' progress as much as you can as they actually learn, rather than relying just on the summative. Now, I know you have to do the summative. You have to get the goals that the government wants you to get and your school wants you to get. But it's strange, but you can actually get better summative results by doing formative assessment more, because you address problems while they're small rather than finding out at the end that you missed, that something didn't stick. Here's another one that's hard, but this is one I really practice, is show your mistakes. Show your mistakes in front of students. Don't be afraid to let them see you learn. When you are trying to figure something out and it doesn't work, like I just did with the webinar thing, with the Jamboard. The Jamboard didn't work. Don't get upset about it. Just go, oopsie, wait a minute, I don't have this thing, or let me go look at this. Let me see what happened. And you go, well, I tried my best, but you don't know. Again, this is part of something I'm going to talk about in a minute, which is the idea of risk taking. Students should be encouraged to take risks. They should be rewarded for taking risk, especially when they fail. Especially when they fail. Do not reward them only when they take a risk and it works. Reward them and make a point of it. Just when they try something that's positive, I don't mean disruptive. I mean, when they try something that they try to do something new, keep an open mind and realize that risk-taking is something that should be rewarded, especially if it fails. As long as it's a good attempt, then that's what you should emphasize, because that will spur all the other students into not being as timid. And again, the last thing there related to the teacher showing her or his kind of mistakes is that your habits, your learning habits in the classroom and out, are the biggest teacher for your students. Just like with parents, when parents tell their children what to learn or what to do or important things, they don't take that up very well. What they learn the most is watching what you do and seeing how you do it. So modeling everything. When you have a new activity, do it yourself in front of them. Show them how you would do it, and let them see you make mistakes on it, or trying to figure it out, or going, wait, okay, yeah, this, that, okay, this. Again, follow that up. And don't be afraid to model how you basically imagine that you want to be showing what you want your students to look like to you, right? So take risk in front of them and make mistakes, and tell them this is part of learning. This is how you really make progress, is by taking chances and making mistakes. Okay, so those are very important, those basic kind of atmosphere setting things. That kind of tone, especially that you set in the class, can make things so much easier for you, and it can be so much more fun when students know what kind of teacher you are, that you're going to reward all these wonderful aspects, and you're not going to be critical. Okay, now flipped learning, you may have heard, is a good way to address a lot of you. I've heard many times you teachers who are out in the countryside and you don't have access to materials in the classroom, or your classroom's not great, or students are not that motivated. Flipped learning, again, can really help you do that. If students, the more students have access to technology and the internet, the better. But there's also ways to work around that. And again, the best way to find all this out, I'm going to tell you about this, is to do what I found in my study, which is play to learn. I'll talk about that after. But flipped learning, if you don't know, again, the basics of flipped learning, I think you guys know this. You've seen this, where traditionally you can see in the top left corner, the teacher's up front. The pink-headed teacher there is up front teaching, and the students are listening and they're not speaking mostly. And then when they go home, then they do assignments. They get homework and they do them. That traditional style is useful for some lessons. Do not abandon traditional style, because it's very useful for some situations, I think. But flipped classroom, of course, it begins by, out of the classroom, the teacher is somehow connecting with the students. And some of you mentioned about like having an English club as a solution, or meeting students out of hours. Do you have time for that? Well, maybe you can do it virtually. You can use Zoom. Maybe you can use other technology I'm going to talk about today to do that. But again, you give them the materials, the lesson is already prepared and they get it. And then when they come in, oh, I did it backwards, didn't I? I should have had this behind me while I was speaking. That the students get the materials that the teacher gives them out of the classroom. And then when they come into the classroom, the teacher becomes part of the lesson, really, not in front of the classroom, but on the level with the students. Let me show you a short video about this. Let's watch this video about
flipped learning and flipped classroom are a popular new trend in education, but what does it mean? And is it really that new? Let us begin by defining what a traditional classroom looks like. Traditionally, courses have been structured in the following way. During class, the teacher delivers a presentation that introduces students to new concepts and learning materials. Meanwhile, students mostly listen to the presentation and maybe take notes. Later on, at home, students review the notes to learn the material presented in class, and maybe complete some practical exercises that the teacher has assigned as homework. We can summarize this setup with the following graph. There is a teaching phase, in which material is delivered, which takes place in class, and then a learning phase, in which students engage more actively with the material, which take place out of class. In a flipped classroom, this framework is reversed, so students first discover new material at home, for example through assigned reading, or increasingly so, in the form of didactic videos. Because the delivery stage takes place out of class, class time can be dedicated to practical activities which allow the students to actively engage with the material in the presence of the teacher, and often in collaboration with other students. You might be asking, is that all? And is it really new? Haven't many teachers been assigning reading to complete before class to students before? Well, yes, some of them have, but often, once in class, students are still exposed to a teacher presentation that goes over the same material. In a flipped classroom, that second delivery does not occur, but most of all, a flipped classroom is more than just a time and space shift between teaching and learning. It is, in fact, a revolution in the way we conceive the role of teachers, which are no longer seen as primarily charged with transferring knowledge, but assume the roles of mentors that guide the students in mastering new skills and understanding when and how to use the information they have been learning. This is achieved by a specific, extremely goal-oriented course design, and by a careful choice of the activities to be assigned both at home and in class. If you are interested to learn more about this, feel free to visit.
Okay. So online learning, I should say flipped classroom style, using online learning, I think is something that a lot of teachers learned during the pandemic about how they had to do that style. But of course, they weren't able to come into the classroom a lot of the times after. But a lot of teachers now realize the benefits of presenting materials especially materials that you can record by video and use again and again and again, so that you, again, once you have a library of these things, then you don't have to do that kind of repetition where you repeat the basics of what you're teaching. You just focus on, again, being more specific and more customized to the students you have. Okay, I do have some materials to help you with this. This first one, when it comes to flipped classrooms, this one is a friend of mine who was in charge of, he's a director of his program at a different city here in Korea, and he and his team they switched all of their curriculum to flipped classrooms style. They changed their entire program, and he was in charge of it. And he gave me materials about this, and it's very interesting because it's very detailed. For example, here at the beginning, it shows exactly what the students do and the timings out of class. This is for a university level, but it's easily adaptable to whatever your level is too, okay? And if you look, let me show you real quick. Let me stop sharing and share just to show you the content that he has, how useful it is. Again, I put this in the materials for you, like I said. Let me come back here and share it for you. There. Okay, you can see now this page where he's describing what they were doing, background. Then there's the section to shows you what the students typically would do. And then you can see that he goes through step by step about how they taught different aspects for their lessons. And they blocked out the videos, teachers' faces are blocked out for privacy reasons. So there's nothing wrong with this white here. He blocked that on purpose. But you can see he goes through the steps here and shows you, again, there's some Korean on the screen here, some Hangul, but you can see that this is using to be verbs, and you can see he goes through it. And this is a really good example of showing you how you could develop how you could develop different aspects in your classroom if you wanted to try this, using dictation, again, picture matching activities, again, showing a lot of things that they did in their classroom, okay? I also have a second one here for you that's more academic, where this is an article, if you want to read a little bit more about how using the idea of the Internet of Things, that's kind of a new concept when it comes to using technology in and out of the classroom. So again, this is a very interesting article here that I think is very useful for you to look at too. So these are two supplements that you can look at later from the materials. So let me go back to the go back to here and share this for you again. Again, I'm looking at the chat. Yeah, students not prepared at home. They changed to flow of the class. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about difficulties with students. And again, that was one of the issues that one of you talked about, was the idea of how do you, get students to do speaking activities, and how do you assess that? And how do you, keep track of it, right? We're going to talk about that. Let me go past this. Yeah. Okay. What I would like to do now is I'm going to run through, as I mentioned before, the previous 3 webinars, main points and materials that I gave you to help you address the problems that we've talked about, that I saw that you posted here for this webinar. So I'm going to review it in case you missed some of the materials in the first 3 webinars. I'm just going to point you to them and show you, again, I want to basically show you the toolkit that I've given you during this webinar series. I'm going to show you all the different tools and the different ways that you can solve all of the problems that we talked about, the issues related to especially engagement and keeping students interested in the lessons. So let's take a look at the review for the first 3 webinars. Again, just to remind you, on the page, on the Tech4Teach website, you can see links on each of the webinars. On the first 2 webinars, I put materials discussed and supplements in a folder for all the materials that I gave you during the webinar. And in the last webinar and today's webinar, you can see I'm just giving you a link to Google Drive, because Google Drive allows me to give you bigger files and lots of files. Okay, so there's a lot of information for you here. And if I go to this real quick and show you, you can see that you have a lot of different PDFs here for you and some other materials. So everything I'm talking about in the review is all here for you. So you can go get it. I don't know, this is important. I don't know how long this is going to be available for you. You know, once our webinar series finishes and how long it'll be available for you. Definitely, if you're interested in these materials, I would download them as soon as possible, please. Because certainly by the beginning of next semester, for me, March, I will need room on my computer and I'll have to clear some of this out, because some of these are quite big, especially the whole books that I put for grammar here for you. They're quite big. So again, if you're interested in the materials I'm talking about, please go to Google Drive as soon as possible and get them. Okay, so again, that's good for you, that you can see everything and get all these things that you can use and to help solve all your problems. So if you remember, in webinar 1, I talked about the fundamentals of creating engaging lessons. How can you make your classes active? And I gave you 10 elements of engagement, right? The 10 basic things kind of as background, that things that you should think about to begin with. Second, I kind of gave you an acronym of CRAVE that got you to focus on, again, creating an engaging atmosphere like I talked about just before, but specifically how to do it with today's materials, and to really think about what's underpinning the idea of how you would make your classroom atmosphere better for collaboration. Yeah, the link for the Google Drive, someone's asking for that. I'll just copy and paste my link right here. It's already there on actually, let me go to the Tech4Teach, because it's there for you. You should have access to our homepage, I hope. And if you do, then you go down here and just click on this webinar for Prezi link. No, where is it? Here it is, right here, the first one, materials discussed and supplements Google Drive link. So if you click on that, it'll take you right there. But if I go and edit it and grab the link, again, if I just grab this link, I can give it to you right now. But again, you should be able to access it there by clicking it right there on the page. But let me give it to you again. There it is. Here's the link for it. Okay, so again, the next thing I gave you guys was the elements of collaboration. Again, these are the basics to get the students actually interacting well with each other. Again, independent of the teacher, how can you set it up so that they can do it? And I said that a big part of that, in order to be able to do all of these things about how to set up good collaboration and a good atmosphere, is that you really need to know your students. So you had to do a needs analysis. And you had to make your materials relevant. Again, you need to adapt your materials, as all teachers know, but the more you do that and the more cleverly and more carefully you do it, the more successful you will be, and it will save you time later. Again, you can go back to the previous webinars and look at the videos that I gave if you want to review any of this. I also gave you 10 specific ways to improve the atmosphere in your classroom, the culture. Again, I kind of went over that a bit today, but you can go look at those. In webinar number 2, after looking at your problems, the issues that you guys discussed during our webinar and that we posted to the Tech for Teach program website, I decided to present to you guys 4 methods that I think could address the issues that you discussed. And those methods were the jigsaw method, the station rotation, choice boards, and playlists. Again, these are 4 possibilities about how to organize your activities in the classroom and out, which allows the students to have more autonomy and more engagement with each other and more interactive kind of creativeness. It allows the students who are lower level to have as much fun as the ones who are upper level, and it allows upper level students to get ahead when they're, it doesn't punish them. They don't have to wait for the rest of the class and get bored or get distracted or get disruptive. So these methods, I think I highly recommend them. And all of these methods, again, have all of the important things to make your classes more engaging. Choice, autonomy, interactions, customizing, formative assessments. And again, you do it all through backward design, where you start with your goals and aims, your outcomes, as we say, and you work backwards and design everything and then frame it and put it within one of those 4 methods. And I went over that. Here's some more details about how to do that, about how to go backward design and to put things or design your lessons correctly that way. And then one of the teachers, again, I asked for you guys to give materials to me, and I worked with it. And I grabbed this one because this was Global Success 10, because most of you, again, from the survey, most of you were level 10, grade 10 teachers. But I think almost all of you are teaching from this series, Global Success, or a similar book to it. And so I chose this to give you a model to show you how you could do a lesson and how you could approach your activities that are common to all of these textbooks. So in Unit 8, I said that that's a good one to look at. I decided to give that Unit 8 as an example because I looked at the teacher's book. The teacher's book is a good place to look for the objectives for each lesson. Again, when you're working backwards, you begin with your outcomes, your objectives for the unit, and then you work backwards. And again, in Global Success 10, I could see all the main things with vocabulary, reading, speaking, writing, and the kind of extra real life activities, right? The CLIL stuff. I considered all of that when I designed when I chose this as this would be a good unit to try out one of those 4 methods that I just talked about. And I also told you that reviews are another good place to try out. If you want to try out one of these 4 methods and get used to it, reviews are a good place to do that. Okay, and I even gave you guys a lesson plan. I became a student again here, like when I was in my master's degree for TESOL, I had to do this. I had to create lesson plans. And so I gave you a lesson plan for that unit and using the activities from there. And again, I left it open a little bit in terms of which of those 4 methods you want to use, because you could use this lesson plan with any of those 4 methods, because it's just a way of organizing, really, each one. In webinar number 2, I also discussed problem-based learning, because that's something I like to do. And I think it's really going to make your classes interactive and more engaging. And I talked about the characteristics of problem-based learning, what's involved, groups, and how open-ended problems are the beginning of the lesson. And I talked about the benefits, and all of these benefits are transferable. So they're not just teaching them for this lesson or for this class, but they can use this in all of their classes and in their life, actually. It's very transferable, these basic skills that they need to be better thinkers. There are drawbacks, especially to start PBL is a lot of work and a lot of planning. And the more you do it, the quicker and better you are. But it is kind of difficult to start. But once you get it, like anything, once you start doing it, you get better at it. It becomes easier and easier. And later, it's easier than doing just a normal lesson. Unbelievably. Okay, and then I also applied that problem-based learning to that Unit 10, again, as an example to show you how you could arrange a lesson about from one of your units in the Global Success book. So you could see that I even presented some of the possible problems, how you could phrase them to get you going, because this would be the basis for all the things the student needs to learn within each unit. So once they begin with this problem, for example, for Unit 1, then everything that they need to learn for Unit 1 can fit under solving that problem. Okay. And I also gave you an example that not only can you use problem-based learning just to do one part of a lesson, one unit or one activity, but you can actually design an entire course. Again, once you become comfortable with it, you've tried it, you can use it for all of your entire English lesson. You can design your entire semester, your entire year, whatever your segment is, you can design the entire thing with a problem-based approach, like I did. I was lucky enough on the university level to do that. And I presented this for you and I showed you exactly how you could arrange it. Again, you'd have to adapt it to fit your circumstances, but I think this is a good example to show you how you arrange a problem-based learning curriculum and its schedule. And I also gave you, showing you how assessment is done. And again, this assessment is peer assessment. Most of this is peer assessment, but the teacher also assesses and gives feedback to oral presentations and to written presentations. So it's got all the traditional elements of what you need in the classroom to address all of the kind of requirements, but again, it's in a very different format. So again, here's examples I showed of the exams, the summative exam that you would normally give in a normal class. I gave you examples here showing where the students actually created the questions. Each group created their own questions for their own materials. So each group were like teachers. They created the materials, they presented the materials. Well, first they researched the materials. They honed the materials, they edited the materials, they came to conclusions and summaries and paraphrasing about it, and then they presented it to the class, and then they tested the class on if the class understood what they presented. And every group got to do that, so the exam was not written by me. All I did was correct the grammar and to fix the form, any problems. And the response papers that they wrote were short and very concise, and they got to give their main points, and I gave direct feedback to them on that as well. And I also showed you the grade sheet of what it would look like from that. And again, it looks very complicated, but it's actually not. I used Excel. This is, of course, Excel. You recognize the grid, but it's very easy to set this up in Excel. And once you set up a class, again, you can just, I have a blank form that I set up first. When I set up all the columns and everything with no scores or names, and then I can reuse that every semester. I just come in and re-enter the information. Okay. And the final thing I think that I talked about in webinar 2 was about my smartphone survey, because I said that this is a big issue, I think, and especially I found out that you all have been given the choice for most, not all of you I found out, but most of you need to decide when and how you might use smartphones in your classroom. But I think that importantly, from my research that I did, I talked about the idea, especially all these aspects that I learned from my research, especially the fact that students were using YouTube as a learning supplement. All 76.7% used them. And when I talked to these participants individually, all of them actually use YouTube at least a little. Even if they didn't strongly or agree, they used it a little. But personal responsibility for use was a big issue for these students. They saw that smartphones were a problem for them. They can't, just like all of us, we have difficulty controlling it. And so I said, that's a good learning opportunity. And something also importantly is how using smartphones has changed the way students learn. And teachers, I suggested, need to adapt to this new way of learning, especially the third, or I should say the fourth black bullet point, play to learn. Students who have grown up in the digital age, in my experience and in my research, they learn differently than we did when we were growing up, depending on how old you are. Maybe you do play to learn too. Play to learn means that you don't get directions first. Again, it's kind of like, it's related to traditional classroom and flipped classroom, because traditionally the teacher gives the lesson and teaches the student what they need to do, and then the student tries it, either in the classroom or out of class as homework. They try it. That is completely wrong. That is not the way that students learn these days. That's not how they learn in their real life. So it makes no sense to them. It seems boring and slow. What students want is for you to throw things at them and they start to try to figure it out. And the lesson begins, therefore, from the teacher, the lesson begins with the student asking questions about things that don't work or things they don't understand. So it requires the teacher to have a kind of patience and a kind of trust and a kind of open-mindedness to allow the students to make mistakes and to teach them that it's okay. That's how learning starts. Again, especially in problem-based learning, you begin with a problem. That's where learning begins. It doesn't begin by presenting something to you that is not important or interesting to you to start with. So again, the more you can do that, you can't do that perfectly, and it's not always right for every lesson in every aspect. But for many, that beginning with that will make your classes more engaging, because it matches with what they do out of the classroom. It's how they learn out of the classroom. They play to learn. They push buttons until something works or it doesn't. They move things around, they try it, they get on. And this is something I wanted to say to you all too. I mentioned earlier about learning new programs. And I'm going to repeat this when I show you these new tools that I've been using. Maybe they're not new to you. I don't know which ones you've used. But when you get a new program, I don't think we need anymore to have someone like me teach you how to use a program, because you need to just play to learn. You need to take the time to push buttons and see it make mistakes. And that's how you actually learn the best. And you remember it too better. So I'm going to show you that play to learn in the terms of how I'm presenting things to you today about online tools. Again, the other thing I talked about is that there's a lot of advice about how you should handle smartphones in the classroom, and they're mixed. There's no one way or one agreement. It's very debatable. And I said that before you start to think about it, though, you should think about what kind of teacher you want to be. Are you one that incorporates more and gets involved more? Are you someone who wants to police it or discipline it, or do you want to just get it out of the way and not have it be an issue? Again, I think this is where you begin thinking about, if you're going to use smartphones in your classroom, I think you have to decide where you fit on this continuum first, because that determines what kind of activities you do or don't do. I gave you 5 suggestions about how I think you should do smartphones. This is not my final list because I'm still working on it. It's evolving every day. But I think the first one is the most important, which is, I think you need to talk to students about smartphones. You need to have a discussion, not just one, but regular discussions when important, you know, again, when it comes up, when it's part of the lesson, like a student has a phone and they keep looking at their phone over and over, then you need to say, that's that moment. That's that teachable moment where there's a problem. And I'm not going to be angry about the problem or be upset because I can't get into my lesson. I've got my lesson ready for that moment. And you say, this is the moment to have a kind of learning, a discussion, not where I tell students about what the rules are, but where I create a discussion and say, okay, hey, this is great. Let's talk about smartphones. Let's do it right now. Let's talk about, you know, maybe that student, John, is not paying attention and using his smartphone. Well, let's all, it's a hard, again, you invite him as part of the lesson to become the kind of show that it's not just his problem, it's everyone's problem. And then you can address it. And again, you can do some of the other advice that I gave here too. Webinar 3 that we just went over last, I'm finishing up here with the review, was addressing the issues that you guys talked about. And after I reviewed the issues that you gave me in the surveys, I decided that choice boards was a very good way to address that. And I showed you 2 choice boards that I made custom for you that you can change for yourself. The first one on the bottom left there was related specifically to Unit 8 from, again, Global Success 10. And there are actual activities you can use there in this game format. There are videos. It took me a long time to do all of those, but I hope that it's helpful to you and you can actually use it. You don't have to change anything. I think again, you might change it if you want to use it for a different unit or a different book, but I think the format can be used for any. And the one on the right, the bottom right, was a general one for you to use for a review class, to make your review class more interesting, more interactive, where it's a game format and you let groups kind of compete and maybe have prizes for them. They do well. And again, they're learning in an interesting kind of, as we say, it's a kind of gamified version of teaching, which is, again, a very popular way, very easy way to engage students. That's why I presented how to teach speaking, like students who are hesitant to speak in long sentences or in longer form. This game helps them to work with just another student, just one-on-one, and they get to do small little sentences to work them and get them going. And I also found these 3 grammar books that I think, as I said, are so good, because you can grab whatever your grammar point is in your book, Global Success, and you can come to find it in one of these 3 books, and then you can present it through Grammar Lab, which is much more fun because it's kind of comics based. It's a comic book. And then once you present the main characters who are the same in all of these books, there's not very many characters. There's just a handful, 5 or 6 of them. And then you get to that, once the students know the characters, they have fun with the grammar learning. So it's much better. So I gave those to you, those PDFs. We're lucky to have those and to be able to, I was happy to find them for you. In terms of writing, I talked about how to make your writing more collaborative rather than just an activity you do by yourself. Yeah, I see someone said, can you make a shorter lesson information version? Yeah, you're going to need to go. I can't put this whole all these materials into a shorter version. I'm sorry, no, it's impossible to do without leaving out important things. What I did was I went through, no worries. I went through this and tried to edit it down just to kind of give you an overview and point back to where you can go grab the materials. I'm just reminding you, again, these are all possible tools to handle all the different problems you have. So again, for writing, trying to make more interactive writing lessons, here is an example of how to do collaborative writing. And this gives you some basic kind of how to, ideas about how to think about it. Then I gave you some fun short activities, which are more suitable for students that are impatient or demotivated or distracted, or especially just to make your classrooms more actually interactive and fun. So this one was a sensory writing that they did with 3 students can work together. Another one that was more artistic with poetry, which is again just using just pieces of language, just phrases rather than full sentences, and they're collaborating. Snowball was fun, where they write a piece of it and throw it to another student, and they have fun hitting each other in the head with the balled up writing. And they learn also that writing is not sacred. Writing is something that you work at and it's fun. So you ball it up. So again, you're teaching not just how to be collaborative and have fun, but you're teaching them important lessons about not taking writing too seriously and realizing that writing is just like speaking. It's fun. It should be fun. It should be, useful. And another one was sketch and scribble, where you're telling stories, because a lot of students like to tell stories, especially when you're in groups and you have them try different parts of it and try to see if the other people understand them. You really get to know other people's perspective. Other students get to see learn a lot about their fellow classmates from that. And finally, I talked about Telestrations, which is a game you can buy, but you can make it. You can make it yourself, where you just, for really low-level students especially, it's very useful, where they can draw pictures and then do simple vocabulary, as you can see in the example. So again, I pointed to that. For high level, on the opposite end, one of the you participants teaches writing for IELTS, but you can also, as I point out here, I pointed you to an interactive lesson, a collaborative lesson for writing with IELTS. And finally, I talked about feedback, giving feedback for students, how to do that. This article points to all the different types of feedback you can give, and it talks about what the good things, the benefits, and the negative, the drawbacks are for each one. Okay, so again, I emphasized in this that actually, if you follow one of those 4 methods that I gave you earlier, for example, station rotation, for example, then you have a station where you give feedback directly in speaking to a student. And I found personally myself that for most students, that is the most effective way to get them to really understand quickly the basics. If you have students who are not really understanding the basics of what they need to do for writing, speaking to them is the best way. And not speaking as a class, but looking at their writing in front of them, and you are talking about, again, you're not generating the lesson. That student hands you their effort. They show you what they tried, and then you can see what their problems are, and you can simplify it and say, oh, I see. Let me help you with that problem you're having. And that makes them feel so much better, because they don't feel like an idiot. They don't feel like they have to raise their hand and show that they're the only ones who have that problem. They can sit down with you at that station rotation when it's their turn, and they get customized lesson. Okay. So what we learned in all of that engagement in all webinars 1 to 3 especially was that the best way to make an engaging class, other than all the things I've said, an important aspect is that you free yourself up from taking all the roles in the classroom. You don't want to be in the front of the classroom doing everything, and you're too busy to really help students or interact with them. What you want to do is try to design your class somehow. Flipped learning can help you do that. All the 4 methods that I talked about can help you do that. All of those activities I just showed you can help you do that, where you're getting the students starting the lesson and doing it themselves, and you are free then to get up and walk around and give them the real kind of, real teaching that's fun for you. And it's fun, and it's very, again, it's the most efficient way for them, and it's more interesting because they generate it, right? Okay, I'm looking to see if anybody says anything else here talking about the game. Yeah, again, go back if you want to learn, if you want to know any of these things that I said in the review, go back to the previous webinar and look at the video. They're available there. Look at the Teach for Tech site. The Tech for Teach site. You can see here that the YouTube recordings for each of the webinars are here for you. Right, so you can go click on those, and you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can just flip through until you get to the part that you want to learn, because I've already talked about it. So again, I recommend that. I don't see anyone else saying anything, so I'm going to continue on because I want to talk about 2 more things today to finish up. I especially want to talk about some online tools that I use and just show you some ways that you could use them without I'm not really going to tutor you. I'm going to show you. So online tools, there are a lot of online tools now. There are so many, and there's so many free ones, and there's so many that you have to pay for. I don't pay for them as much as I can help, because I spend too much money on different subscriptions and things myself. And as a teacher, you can't do that. You're not paid well enough. So I'm going to talk about these here, these ones that I show you here, just some fun, different things. These are things that I've found that actually really help to make your classroom more interesting. Okay, so the first one, of course, is Google Classroom, which you can use as a central hub. Again, this is where you can put all these other activities, and you can go, it's like the springboard from this is the home base, right? And Nearpod, you've probably heard of. I've seen other teachers, other webinar presenters talk about Nearpod because a lot of people really like it. I'm going to show you how it works through interactive Google Slides on Google Classroom. Quick Draw is a fun one that I'll show you that's really addictive. The next one is called Toy Theater. Again, there's a lot of different games there, and really interestingly is it uses all senses, well, except taste and smell. But it invites you to use those senses, but it really does a good job of really teaching holistically. Epic, if you haven't heard of it, is a good place to get supplemental reading books for free. And Flipgrid, one of the participants mentioned that. She really likes to use that in the classroom, and I'll just show you a quick look at that. And another one just like it, which is Edpuzzle. Both of these two allow you to make little lesson videos that allow, especially for flipped classroom, flipped lessons, you can use these two to make those. I'll show you those. And finally, WordWall is a fun one where you can take easy game templates, and you can customize it to your own vocabulary. Whatever your vocabulary is, you can put it into these games, and it's really quick and easy to make. Okay, so let me show you some of these real quick. Here is, well, let's see, there is Merry Christmas. Yeah. Here is my classroom that I set up here for us, right? Once you sign into Google, Google's a monster. You might have your Gmail there and everything else, but you set up a classroom. And again, how do you set up a classroom? Start pushing buttons. That's how you set up a classroom. Start trying it. If you want to see how to, look, it says customize. What does that mean? Just click on it and start looking. You'll figure it out. My 12-year-old son can figure this out quicker than me because this is the way he thinks. All of the technology is set up that way where you can click any button and it probably won't hurt you. You can probably go back, Control or Command Z or back button. You can go back to what you had. So you just click around and push everything. Oh, look, there's a create button to create classwork. Again, that's how you learn any of these programs. They're very easy to learn if you're open-minded and you just get a space of time where you want to learn it, because this is the best way to learn, is just to start clicking. And if you can't figure something out, you can use YouTube. YouTube has, I'm going to talk about that. Here is for Prezi. If you just type in how to use Prezi, here's a good one here it's 8 minutes long. This will show you for beginners how to use Prezi. I was going to do this for you, but I thought, no, you can do it yourself. Prezi is very easy to use. You can just start pushing buttons. If you have difficulty, go on YouTube like students do and find it. And another one here, this is a website that I wanted to point to. This teacher here has some of the best videos for elementary levels, especially, elementary level classes, because she's an elementary school teacher. Actually, she's moved lately, so she's in between, but she has all of the different programs you could want to do. She will show you how she uses it in her classroom. So she's not just teaching you how to do it, she's showing you what she does in her class. And she has other things too about what she eats in a day, because a lot of people are interested in her life. How, is she moving? How she gets through the holidays. This is a really fun site. It's called Pocket Full of Primary with Michelle Emerson. And I really highly recommend you use her site. Just subscribe to it like I have here. Subscribe to it, and then it'll pop into your page, and you'll be able to see a lot of her different, and you can type in and find things for her. Again, sure tell you anything you can't figure out by just pushing buttons. But if you push buttons around, you can figure this stuff out, okay? Now let me show you, I'm gonna go to the next one now. This is Quick Draw. Quick Draw, watch what happens here. It says, let's draw, right? So the first thing, you can see it's gonna give you 20 seconds to draw something. And this one, it says draw a basket. And if you look at the top up here, it says that you're gonna have 6 drawings. So the first drawing, I have to draw a basket. I have 16 seconds, hurry up, let's see.
I see circle. I see cherry. I see party hat, or toilet, or mosquito, or gear. I see ceiling fan, or sea turtle.
Oh, I'm running out of time. Oh no, I didn't.
Sorry, I couldn't get it.
Okay, the next one says rainbow, right? So rainbow, that should be pretty easy. I'll just do a bunch of lines.
I see line, or stairs. Oh, I know, it's rainbow.
It got it. Okay, diamond. Can I draw a diamond? Let's see, I want to make some...
I see triangle, or pyramid.
Let's see.
I see tent, or pizza, or sailboat, or nose. Oh, I know, it's diamond.
Diamond, I got it. This is very addictive. And you notice that, pay attention that when you click it, when the speaker is speaking, it's on the bottom.
I see circle, or cherry.
See it down here?
I see spoon, or animal migration, or peanut.
So
I see snowman, or squiggle.
Thank you, stop guessing, thank you. The AI there tells you what, writes out what it's saying, and it keeps guessing.
I see shoe, or smiley face, or nose, or ring. Sorry, I couldn't guess it.
Sometimes this is funny. This thing has attitude. It'll say, I have no idea what you're drawing. It'll say funny sayings to you too. It's really fun. Again, simple things to get students who are especially who really like to kind of play with vocabulary. Really gets them going. Yeah, you can do it in other languages. I see somebody uses it in French. It's fun. Okay, here's the next one. Toy theater. This one is so fun. It has so many different things. You can see that for us, language arts would be the thing, but it's got math here too. If you know any math teachers, you can give them this, but it's got puzzles and games and teacher tools. You can click around until you find fun stuff, but look at this. It's also, again, it thinks about different senses. Look at this beatbox. You know beatbox? Beatbox is music. It's with your mouth. It's like boom, right? So look what you do. You grab one of these and you put it here, and you just grab notes and move them around. Watch what happens when I push play. And then I can add more to my sound. See, now this is your beat. Now what you do is you have students make a beat, and then they have to put vocabulary words over it, right? Like dog, dog, cat, dog, dog, cat, right? It's like phonics and kind of like chanting. You could have them, but you could have them. The purpose of this game is to get students to get rhythm. This is for pronunciation. This is to help students get the cadence, the overall flow of their speech, to get them to understand how to pronounce. So this gets rhythm. And again, you can actually set this up to help them with a particular word. Again, it's fun anyway. It gets students going. And again, there's so many different ways you can use it. Look at this pattern blocks one. You just grab this and you can move this shape around. You can put it where you want it and turn it and rotate it. It's very fun. Get them to try to make this picture. Look, a turtle. Can I make a turtle? Well, let's see. I got to put that up there. Then I got to have a blue one that goes here. Oops. Uh-oh. Oops. Oh, oops. Nope, not that way. Oh, wait, I got to rotate it. Again, you would use this. How you could use this one is to have someone else, have another student give directions. Another student can see the turtle. And he says, oh, no, put it up. No, turn it right, turn it left. No, put it on top. This is very good for directions, prepositions, on top, under, next to, beside, rotate. Again, you can have students have lots of fun with this by just playing with the shapes, and it's very fun to play with. You can push things, and it's very fun. Again, try playing on this website. There's so many things. If you go into the language arts, it's more the normal things you see, right? Here's the normal kind of vocabulary based or other games that you can get, right? With phonics and word search and all that. So there's traditional games here, but there's a lot of very different kinds of games too, okay? Next, here's Epic. I'm not going to show you Epic other than to say that you go through this and you can actually find books. You can go look for books to add to your collection. Again, you have to start searching and pushing buttons and exploring topics and finding what you want. But again, it helps you to find free books and it tells you the age range and the level of the book. And these things are all based on you set it up based on a vocabulary or a reading teaching method. It asks you that when you set it up as a teacher, and it's free. Very good. You can assign these books to students to look at. See, you can assign it down here. And when you assign it, then you can see it tells you the grade level and you can put it into Google Classroom. So I say, okay, I want to go put it in my Google Classroom. Again, you can do this. I allow it. Again, sometimes, okay, it's not, I got to select the class. Again, it's very easy just to click around and figure it out, but I don't want to take the time just to show you right now. It only takes a minute. I was playing with it. I had one before. But anyway, again, almost all these sites I'm showing you from now on, these next few are all connected to Google Classroom if you have that. So you can, once you finish it, you just click it and add it to, and I'll show you here's one, for example, on Flipgrid. On Flip, or Flipgrid as they call it, if I go back to the home, once you set it up, you set up a classroom just like Google Classroom. See, webinar 4. Oh, I want to change this. Again, you can share it with a link. Again, it's very intuitive. Click buttons. You can edit the group. You can archive. You can figure this stuff out. And then again, it gives you a couple activities, but you can create your own activity here. What do you want to talk about? Again, you can create this topic, and if you're not sure what you want, you can go grab a lesson right here in Discovery. Click Discovery, that's where I was before. And then in Discovery, you can look for what you want. You can search a topic. For example, let's try Vietnam. Because look, once you do, you can choose the subject if you want, language arts, if you want to do that. You can choose everyone or a level. Again, you can choose what level the materials are. Let's just keep it all, I like to keep it open because sometimes you can have good lessons that are not language arts lessons, but there's Vietnam. So you can see that we have these, look at, there's a Happy Lunar New Year. What's that? A lot of people are using that one, Chinese New Year. Well, what if I like it? Let's see. What if I click on it? What is it? Oh, I can preview it. I don't want to watch the advertisement, but okay, I can preview it. I can look at it, but then I can just add it. I can add it to my groups. If I want to, I can share it. Again, I can copy it. I can move it. I don't know why I'm not showing Google Classroom, but you can hook it up to Google Classroom. It's very easy to do that. Again, just click the buttons until you make it work. Sharing here, again, allows you to share the topics that you have on your page with your students. Again, it's very intuitive. And again, once you find a lesson, these are pre-made lessons here, but you can add your own and make your own with a video. And once you have them, you have a library of them on your page that will pop up here. Again, you'll have, for this classroom, you'll have all of these. And you can customize everything that you want. Edpuzzle does the same thing. Here's their add content, discover video content. You click on that and you get this page, and it's just the same. You can do subjects, you can do grade levels, you can do a country. Like I can find something that people have made in Vietnam. Let me find it here. Where is Vietnam? UV. There we are. Okay. And you can see that some teachers, let's see if any of them have made anything that we've talked about. Let's see. Yeah, Congress. Okay, it's popping up now. There's a lot of lessons. Oh, look, that's something. Okay, how this works, again, the fun part about this one, Edpuzzle and Flipgrid, the thing that's really good about it is like this. You make a video, and then you have, in the video, you have these little dots on the bottom where you put an activity in, and you can see them listed over here on this side. So there is a bunch of open-end, a multiple choice questions. So students watch this.
Trong bài học này sẽ giúp cho các em nhận. Rồi, các em hãy cho cô biết tên của đoạn thẳng này là gì?
And then it'll stop on that activity. You can see, obviously, this is not an English lesson, but you can see that it has you answer a question because she set it up that way to answer an open question. But you can do it however you want. And again, you can add your own content and record a video. This is what's so fun about Flipgrid. This is what I like about Flipgrid, is that, again, you can say, okay, start recording. And if you want to record one of your lessons, again, that you want students to watch out of the classroom, before the class starts or after, then you just, again, it's kind of slow right now. Maybe I have a busy time, but when you click on this, it normally happens very quickly. It pops up the video program where it's going to film you, and then you can put effects on it. You can play with all the buttons, just like you can do any filters or anything and have fun like the students do. And then you can put multiple choice questions in there, just like we saw in that last one. You can put open-ended questions as they watch the video. And you can show this in the classroom if you want to, and it'll click and stop automatically where the points are. And then once everybody's done, and you can record that too. That's very important, that you can see students' progress and tell whether they've done it and what information they typed in. So it's a way to see what they're doing. Okay, here's another one that I talked about, WordWall. WordWall is similar to that, but these are activities that have templates here for you to use. And then, for example, if you want to try, just click on these and try some, like matching up things. Just try it. Again, it shows you what to do. You can title it like, okay, vocabulary, maybe this is vocabulary for unit 8 that we just talked about. And then you put a keyword and then you put a definition, right? So like the keyword, let's just say a keyword is like astronaut. Okay. And then a person who travels in space. And then another one here, you can put in here like a bike. Let's put in bicycle, just simple stuff just to show you. Bicycle, two-wheeled way to get around. Again, you can match this from what they have in the book or change it yourself to make it more readable. But let's just say we've got 2 of them, but you can keep adding items. But when you're done, what's the problem? There must be 3. Okay, I got to have 3 items. Okay, let's put trash. And trash is something you don't want. Very simple. Okay, so once you do that, it arranges it into this simple game, Vocabulary Unit 8 game, and students can get this link and they can click on it. And then they can say, okay, something you don't want. Well, what if I get it right? Trash. Okay, wait, I can move it. Oh, is it here? Okay, wait, a two-wheeled, let me get it wrong. Okay, astronaut is a two-wheeled. Okay, there. Let's check my answers. Right? And then again, they can, once it's done, they get to see their score and how long they took. And you can see a leaderboard where students compete with each other. And you can show answers or start again. Again, it's lots of fun. And in Google Classroom, just to show you really briefly with Google Classroom, I think, do I have in this? This is it. Yeah, Simio, but that's not it. That's not the one I want. Is it this one? Oh, I didn't add anything yet. Yeah. If you basically, again, I'll just leave it to you guys. I think I had it and I deleted it. But if you go here, all of these tools that Google has, you can play with, especially slides, where you see slides. Where is slides? Did I pass slides already? Where is Google Slides? Oh, there it is. So Google Slides is where you can make activities just like you did. Here's some of my Google Slides, some other stuff and examples. You see, I was looking for choice boards because they have materials that are pre-made. I was going to show you this choice board here, but I made my own. I was going to use this one through PowerPoint, but I made my own because it was better. Anyway, you can find materials from other people. You can go search and again, once you have a slideshow, you can put within your activities, within your slides, you can go, once it loads, once you have your slides here, you can click on something and you can add, where am I at? Extensions. When you go here to extensions, you can go to Nearpod. After you load Nearpod onto here, the extension, you can go to Nearpod and then you can work with Nearpod on this slide. And you can do that anywhere you want in here. So you can have a slideshow that you use every class, like every unit. Oh, let me sign in with Google. Yeah. I was out of, that's what happened. I was out of Google too long. There we go. Yeah. Let me do that again. See if Nearpod will just open with the options now. Yeah, again, when something doesn't work, just click the button again. Basically get rid of it. That's something that works in every program. You know, when something doesn't work, restart it, because it almost always resets and fixes itself. That's something every child knows that now. And so teachers should know that too. So again, you can add any kind of interactive. These are all interactive activities here, games that you can add to your show. So this is something you show your slides in the classroom You have your lesson going, but then you decide, I want to check to see if students are paying attention to this part. So I can have, you know, any of these activities, a matching pair activity, a memory test to see if they're paying attention. I can add Flipgrid. Again, these are all integrated, all these things, and how you figure it out is just by clicking them. That's how I figured it out. But this one is a really fun game too, where students, Time to Climb, if you know this one, this is a fun one where students like to compete with each other. So you can actually have all the students logged in together, kind of like we did on the Jamboard, but they're all kind of answering questions and they're trying to get higher up and see who wins the race. So they get to watch each other. And so you can do it with the real names, or they can do it with, you know, kind of pseudonyms or anonymous names. If you don't want to know who's the winner and who's the loser, if it bothers them, you can do it just with a character. It gives you characters. It gives you, like, again, you can see there's some that are already here for you. They're already set up. So if we searched here, what if we looked up, I doubt it's here, but let's try global success. I doubt. I'm just checking. See if any, nope, no global success. Okay, how about, whoops, come back. How about, whoa, come on, come back. Cut it out. X. Okay, how about, okay, English. Something with English. Okay, here's some grade level activities they've already done. And again, there's pronunciation, idioms, sentences. Hey, sentences, okay. So again, you could try this. Look at, here's some of the questions. You can customize these questions. Here they are. Question 1, which sentence matches the picture best? You can see that they've already set up the questions, but you can change them. But if you want to use what they got, once you change it, then it gets added to your slide. And then you can push that, as they say, out to students. It won't show here yet. It'll show in just a minute. And you can choose, once you're actually showing, there it goes. Once you do it, the students get to play the game. And there, again, you can go click on it and find out. I don't have enough time right now to show you this. But again, you can use Nearpod to add all of these interactive things where students, and if you only have one classroom computer, you can have students come up to the computer teacher and teach the teacher's computer, and they can go up and play with, and then sit down, and then the next person can come and add their effort. So again, you can do all of these things even if you only have one teaching computer in the classroom. But you can do this, of course, out of the class, set it up for students to play by themselves or with friends, right? Okay. Well, I think I showed you a lot of those things. Here's all the links to them, again, that you can go find all the things I just talked about. Again, there's so many more, you know, there's a lot of different ones. And these are just ones that I decided to show you today. Okay. Also, if you're interested in learning languages yourself, or if you're trying to actually find an app, because a lot of students can use apps on their smartphone, you know, not related to your lessons, but they can use different apps. I found a couple. I kind of put together some stuff from a fellow on YouTube who was very good at reviewing these, and so I put this up here for you. He says that Language Transfer, that's the name of an app. Language Transfer is the best one. Then Pimsleur and Closemaster and Tandem are next. And then Duolingo, if you've heard that, HelloTalk, Memrise, Lingvist, Drops, and Busuu, those are all pretty good. And then Babbel is not very good. That was one of the original ones. And then Rosetta Stone, ooh, that's like an old dinosaur. That was one of the first ones that charged a lot of money to learn a language. Some of these allow you to learn other languages like Vietnamese. Some of them let you learn English. But most of these, I have to say, are European Romantic languages like French, Spanish, Italian. Anyway, this is a good, Language Transfer is also free, which is good. Some of these almost all of these have a free version that's limited, but Language Transfer has a lot for free. but unfortunately not English, and it's only European languages. So that one's kind of limited with the languages. But anyway, there's a lot of them. Duolingo, I have to say, Duolingo, a lot of my teachers in schools here use that with their students. Duolingo is very fun because it actually creates an environment, a kind of world where, again, where the students can kind of feel like they know that world. And so it helps them, you know, once they know that world, they learn more about the characters, they learn more about the, you know, what's involved. So it's much more holistic. So a lot of them like to use that one rather than some of the others. Yeah. So I just wanted to give you that as a kind of a background. Okay, here's the quick last thing that I wanted to scare you with. Because AI, I just became aware of these things in the last month. Brand new, but it's changing everything. I call it the AI invasion because it is an invasion. Have you heard about ChatGPT? Have you heard that? Have you heard about DaVinci 3.5? Have you heard about Midjourney? Again, these three, there's the links to them: ChatGPT, DaVinci 3.5, and Midjourney. The first two are custom AI that writes for you. It writes paragraphs, essays, it writes anything you want. It makes original text, and all you do is kind of give it some prompts. You tell it what you want, and it writes the whole thing for you. And students have, I've already seen students who use it, and it's only been out for 3 weeks. And students are already using it to do their assignments. And it's impossible to catch because it's not, you can't catch it with any kind of turnitin.com or any kind of other program, because this is original text that the AI is making in real time. Midjourney does the same thing with prompts, but it doesn't make essays, it makes pictures. But it's the same kind of idea. So look at this example. This is something I typed in. It's a chat bot. So you chat in this bottom corner down here, this bottom box, you type in what you want. Yes, really, this is true. You type in, I'm going to show you right now. In this bottom box, you type in what you wanted to do, and it does it for you. So look what I said. I said, write a 5-paragraph essay with a thesis to explain what I like and why with 2 reasons. And it wrote this for me. And you can read it later. It has no grammar errors at all. It has no syntax errors at all. It's kind of funky a little bit sometimes, but most of the time, depending on what you enter, if you enter something very carefully, then it does a better job. But here's the thing that's also amazing is, look, after I read what it wrote, I can tell it to fix what it wrote. Look at this. I said, edit the first paragraph to include a hook with a statistic about reading. And look what it wrote in the beginning. This is the first paragraph. Did you know that people who read regularly are more likely to score higher on standardized tests and have higher levels of general knowledge? I am one of those people who loves to read in my free time. There are 2 main reasons why I enjoy reading so much. And I said, wow. Then I told it, look what I told it. Add a few more lines to the hook. It's not long enough. And look what it did. It added another reason and a couple more things. And it did a perfect, there's no grammar errors here at all. It doesn't have that problem at all. It's incredible. And wait, before I show you this, let me show you this. Again, if you go to the link that I provided, you can sign up for free. Let me show you it. Here. Here's the box on the bottom. Write about Vietnam festivals. You don't even have to, by the way, you don't have to type perfect grammar either. It can understand you. You don't have to say, oops, okay, it's busy right now and I haven't been on it. I got to refresh. It's called OpenAI, by the way, is the program. But let me check it here again. Okay, write 5 paragraphs about Vietnam festivals. It's doing this right now in real time. This is it doing it. You can go on this site for free. They have it open for you right now for free. I don't know how long it's going to be free, but it's going to be free for you. And yes, students already know about this. Students are already using this, and you cannot, it's hard to detect. And look what it's doing. It's giving me 3 separate paragraphs because I did not use the word essay. So you can imagine that you could teach this with your students. Again, have better conversations with your students and say, look, I know about this program. Let me teach you about how to use it well. Because then you teach them about the word essay. Do you notice it gave number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can say, see, that is not an essay. An essay, if I use the word essay, watch what happens. Then it changes it to make it all make sense and flow together. And see how it changed it and made it better? And again, look at these different festivals. Now look what I can tell it. Make this an essay. It's really simple, and it's so easy to use, and it will scare you, and it's going to change all teaching when it comes to writing. Look how good a job it's doing. Yes, it is kind of sad. Again, it takes some time sometimes, but yeah, it'll do it. And again, I can tell it. I could say, change the first festival. I don't like the first festival. If you say that on there, I don't like the first festival, it'll change it to another one. It'll keep everything else, and it'll mesh it perfectly. It'll mesh it perfectly with all the different, what it's already written. It does a perfect job. But it is a little weird. You know, native speakers sometimes can detect it, and sometimes it makes mistakes. It's new, it's brand new, and it's free right now because the developers want to see the mistakes it makes. They want to see how people, this is the beta. They're trying it out to see how it works in real life before they go, with the real version. Look at that complete essay it just wrote while we were sitting here. And this is all the student had to do was type in, make this an essay. And all they had to do, write 5 paragraphs about festivals. That's all they had to, look at all the student had to do in pink. They had to just write like 10 words, and look what it produced. And again, they can customize it. Yeah, again, you've got to teach about this. You've got to use this as a teaching tool where when you go through, look at it, and if you notice it doesn't that didn't flow very well, the transition was bad, then you can say, look, it didn't do well. So tell it, say, look, you can tell it, write a better transition, and you can teach that language to your students, right? Write a better transition just say between, again, you can teach whatever high, low level language, but between first and second festival. So it will rewrite the entire thing, that section for you. It'll do what I just said, what I just asked it. Again, you can tell it whatever you want to tell it. Take out the word, take out that festival, whatever you want to do. So yes, very scary, but again, you've got to use this as a teaching tool because students are going to use it. And you need to, actually, this is a teachable moment where you can teach them about transitions, about better flow, about the mistakes that it makes, and better prompt writing. And they learn everything that they would learn in a normal writing class, I think, except, of course, we haven't figured out, I don't know how we're going to actually get them to write, which, again, this is a big, scary thing because of that. Yeah, it's got some big negatives. Anyway, let me go back and show you now there's another one of those. By the way, the second one is called DaVinci 3.5, and it's more clunky. I haven't tried it. You can try it if you want. I think you have to pay for it. It does a much better job, but it's more difficult to use. This one is called Midjourney. And look at these images. This was created by a program by typing in prompts, just like I did just now with the write me an essay. This person just told the AI what it wanted. And these are the pictures that it came out with. And these are not taken from the internet. These are generated from the AI. Here's some information about how it can take even writings or drawings. See the drawing on the top left here of Keanu Reeves? It took this drawing and he entered different prompts telling it what to do until he got this version over here. I have a friend who made this of her daughter. You can input, if you pay for that was the free version. If you use if you use a paid version, you can enter your photographs into the system and then you can tell it what to do with your photographs. This is her daughter's face, and she took her daughter's face and did all of these different, she's an artist, she's a photographer. I studied art photography and she was one of my classmates, and she's really into this program. And she knows how to write prompts very well to get all of exactly what she wants. She actually is a deaf, hearing impaired person. This is actually kind of similar to what she had to listen to when she was a child. She had to put this device on to be able to hear things because she wasn't completely deaf. So again, she's using her art to express her perspective as a hearing impaired person. And so she's using images of her daughter. Again, she's telling the AI what to create. And it's very what we call uncanny, because it looks like computer, but it looks real. It looks computer, but real. It looks in between. And so again, art is being created, and movies too, by the way, are using this kind of deep fake technology to do the same thing. So the world is changing. And I wanted you to be aware of all of those different kinds of things as you go back into your classroom. And again, if I could tell you anything about these, I would say, don't fight it. Figure out how to use it to do the things. Again, go backwards in your design. What are your objectives, the basic objectives, and then go backwards and figure out how to use these things to teach those is the best way to handle it, I think. You go with the flow because this is the future, and we just got to figure out how to be real with our lessons and make them engaging. Because do you notice how interesting it was just now for you guys to watch? Imagine for students, because they take the difficult part of it out. It's suddenly fun to type in and see what you get. Again, as long as the teacher guides them through that, I think it's possible that we could use it in a good way. All right. Again, I hope I'm at the end of this class. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar series. I hope it was useful to you. I really tried to make this webinar series for you as useful as possible. I tried to really, again, do what I was talking about. I tried to make it customized to you, give you autonomy, let you interact with me. And I tried to predict well what I thought that you needed and what would be helpful for you. And yeah, I hope it worked out that way for you. And I really enjoyed the webinar and hope you guys have a great Christmas. This is a Christmas card that my son made. And so I thought I would end with that today. So I think I'm all done for now, unless you have some other questions. Or Mr. Lin, you take it away.
Yes, instead of asking the participants to give questions, I think there are a lot of nice comments on the chat box already. So I wonder if there is any, because today is the last webinars of the series. So any of you want to have some reflection, some farewell message to Dr. Thomas Webster? Some of the ones who have the cameras on. What Fujin from Ho Chi Minh City? You have any, farewell message to Dr. Thomas? Jin, can you unmute yourself? Yes.
Can I think for a while?
So,
Yeah.
So how about Mr. Võ Hoàng Thi from Bình Định? You have any farewell message to Dr. Thomas and other colleagues? Yeah, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, do you hear me, Professor and everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great chance to join the enriching classes, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk to and share something with a teacher from all over Vietnam. And Christmas is coming, so I really wish everybody, especially the teacher, it's Thomas Webster, a great new year to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And may I invite one more participant to share? May I invite a participant from very far away from Hà Giang province, Ms. Nguyễn Thị Hồng Huế. Can you please unmute yourself and share something?
Yes, I'm very glad to join this webinar, and thanks so much, Mr. Thomas Webster.
You're welcome. You're definitely welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Huế. I'm afraid this is the time. From CML Retract, you see, you know, in every webinar, I just come and say hello and then goodbye. But actually, the CML team and Dr. Thomas Webster worked very closely together during the past few months to prepare for the webinars almost every week. So today is the last webinar. So on behalf of CML Retract team, I would like to say thanks to all of you for your active participation in this webinar. CML Retract always try our best to mobilize all possible resources from all over the world to bring you the opportunities of professional development. And this webinar series is a kind of professional development. It's an opportunity for all of you to get together, to learn and share with each other. And I hope that in the year to come, we will continue to work with RELO to invite many other specialists and fellows from RELO to provide both the face-to-face workshops and seminars and the webinar series for English teachers in Vietnam. This is our mission, and we are happy to do that. And I hope to see many of you in the upcoming events of CML Retract. For Dr. Thomas, on behalf of Dr. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, my director, I would like to say thanks to you for your hard work, for everything you're trying to do to make this a successful webinar series, not only for school teachers, but also the series for university lecturers. So Christmas and New Year is coming. We would like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I hope to see you again in many other activities at CML Retract next year.
Thank you, Mr. Lin. I have to say that as Mr. Lin said, it was so great working with you all, and especially with the team at CML Retract, and Mr. Lin especially. If you ever get a chance to work with him with something, he's a great coordinator, and he's very friendly, just as he appears. So he made this series very easy to work with, and again, helped me a lot in setting up materials and assisting me to kind of customize it for you all. So again, thanks so much to the team and for you all. Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you don't have any other comments, so I would like to say goodbye to all of you. See you again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, have a good Lunar New Year later.
And Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, you too.